This video is an addition to the militia mobilization for bugging out with families, and that's beyond the initial bug out with families. What do you do? Now, the situation may come up, you bugged out with the family, and it wasn't just to get out of the immediate area and go to a safe location. It could be a situation where you're now trapped. You know, you're trapped up in the mountains, you're trapped in the forests or wherever. You're trapped behind enemy lines or trapped by the catastrophe that caused you to bug out. So I have up here a little scenario to keep in mind. The militia and the auxiliary mobilized with their family and friends. The event is long-term with no idea when the situation will return to normal and the unit can demobilize. A semi-permanent camp has been set up and occupied for weeks already. What are the duties of the militia, the auxiliary, and the dependents? Now I have here just a basic on what the tasks are. For the militia members, it's to provide security. For auxiliary, it's the support of the militia and the dependents. And the dependents, the families, the friends, supply the miscellaneous labor to accomplish those tasks. Now, for the militia, their primary duties will be conduct reconnaissance patrols to stay updated on the situation, locate other groups and determine if they are a threat, find new base camp sites for when you do have to bug out again to move to a new location because the threat is getting closer. And it's also to locate additional sources of supplies, additional food, additional tools, additional materials for use at the base camp and for operations by the militia. Now, the militia would also be responsible for gathering those supplies. They would be the ones that would have to go out and get those additional cases of food, gather the stuff up, gather up food from the traps that are farther out, to hunt game, to get fish and that stuff that are farther away from the camp. And then also your headquarters element from the militia runs the camp. They're the ones in charge. They assign people to their duties and make sure that those duties are accomplished. Now, the auxiliary, they're primarily support, just like it would be under a mobilization of the militia. So that would include repairing equipment and clothing or uniforms. It could be growing, fishing, trapping, and hunting for food, depending on how close it is to camp. Farther out, that would fall under the militia, or the militia would at least have to provide the security for the auxiliary members to do it. The auxiliary is also responsible for care of the sick and the wounded. They are also in charge of the cleanliness, sanitation, and the general repair of the camp. They're the ones that set up the camp. They put in the shelters, they put in the tents, or if the family has their own tent and stuff, they let them know that, hey, you should set it up over here, not over here, and this is the reasons why. In a survival situation, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be a lot more bossy, a lot more touchy, a lot more pig-headed than normal. That's because they've lost control over their daily life and they want to get some type of control back. So they will fight you. That's why you have to tell that family member, that dependent, that, hey, you're going to put your tent up over here, not over there, because over there we have problems with mosquitoes coming up from water source that's over here, or that area may look nice but it's really marshy, so then the water is going to come up through your tent and get your bedding, your sleeping bags all wet. Okay, you're going to have to try to justify this stuff, explain this stuff to these dependents, because they didn't sign on for the hardship and that stuff. They're looking for someone to take care of them, to protect them and that stuff. So you got to, kind of lead them to the purpose, the goal that you want to accomplish. Now the dependents, everyone needs to work, okay? Children should attend some type of school or training to keep them busy in that stuff. If they're a little bit older, they can assist with duties around the camp. The adults, I believe, should attend some type of training for 1 to 2 hours per day, at least 6 days a week. And that training should be on personal defense, safe firearms handling, and basic survival skills. Now, some of the different duties I have on here, the manual labor type tasks that the adults could help with, especially the ones that don't have a lot of skills. Help with daily trash collection around the camp. Help with daily cleaning of latrines. Both of those you need to do every day to cut down on vermin, to cut down on rodents, to cut down on the spread of disease. You got to get this stuff gathered up. You got to dispose of it properly. You also need to make sure, the auxiliary needs to make sure that the disposal sites and also the collection sites are located far enough away from water sources and food sources, not just where it's served, but also where it's stored. They assist with repairs and improvements on the camp. You want to build a larger area, covered area for eating under, for a mess facility. Well, some of those dependents, those family members, can assist with the labor. Food production, they're helping the auxiliary members to grow them food. They're helping the auxiliary members to trap the game, to go fish. They also assist by gathering and transporting water, and that should be done, at least every other day, preferably every day. They would assist the militia members with the construction of defensive works. That could be obstacles around the base camp or across likely enemy avenues of approach. It would also assist with construction of bunkers and fighting positions, digging in trenches. The dependents would also help in the workshops that are run by the auxiliary. So you may have auxiliary members who are in charge of keeping vehicles running. Well, they're also in charge of keeping generators running. Well, you're going to need help inside those workshops. Additional people to help cut materials. Maybe they have some knowledge on welding, helping with welding, additional knowledge on mechanics and so forth. If they know the area that you're in, they could provide help for the reconnaissance that's conducted by the militia. You have someone that knows the area really well. They know the roads, they know the terrain, they know what's in the area. That person goes along as a subject matter expert to help them out, lets them know that, hey, this area over here is where we'll find this area over here you should avoid. And another common thing would be your KP duties, your kitchen patrol. You may have a field mess team that's in your militia who's cooking the meals. Well, now we've gone from a unit of potentially 20 people or 100 people to a group of maybe 1,000. Well, you're going to need more than your normal crew that you had on your mess team. You're going to need people to help out. You're going to need KPs. They're going to help by cleaning or by serving the food. They'll help by cleaning any dishes, cleaning out any pots and that stuff. They'll assist with carrying over supplies from the food storage sites and so forth. Now, I thought of this video because of watching the movie Defiance and also from watching the TV series Falling Skies. In both of those movies, you had a large numbers of camp followers or dependents or family members. Well, they're not just gonna, in those situations, those people are not just gonna sit around, okay? They're not gonna have time to just sit around and play on their Nintendos or their PlayStations, or, you know, listen to music or talk on cell phones or whatever, okay? Everyone has to work. Everyone needs to contribute. When food would be issued out, it should be served out equally. Everyone gets the same portion. The only ones who should get more would be pregnant women and children. And that would have to do with nutritional requirements. But everyone needs to work. The militia members, even when they're not out on operations, they should be helping out also. You know, you may have to kick one or two people over for KP, or one or two people to help out with latrine duty, whatever, but everyone should work. The dependents should see the auxiliary members and the militia helping out. They should never see them just sitting around, sloughing off, joking, doing nothing. The dependents need to see that everyone's helping out, everyone's doing something, and if, you know, stuff is not being accomplished, then you're not going to make it. Now, there should also be punishments for people that do not help out. Okay, they're not they're not doing the job that they were assigned to do. And you're going to have that. You're going to have lazy people that are not going to help out. What you do is up to you. Okay, what you find fit. It could be something like cutting their rations in half for a week. It could be reducing their rations to just bread and water, and that's a pretty severe punishment. It could be, you know, potential, you know, I don't know, you could say, you know, 10 lashes or whatever if you want to go the real corporal punishment route, which I really don't recommend. In the most severe case, it would be kicking that person out and potentially kicking that person and their family out, to include any militia member and auxiliary member with them. So this is just another scenario, another thing for you to think of, especially if you're planning for the old way of doing things like they did in the 18th century, the 19th century, and before, where the families followed the soldiers along on the battlefield. So hopefully we get a good discussion going in the comments with this video on people's thoughts on the stuff. What do you recommend? How would you do it? Just keep in mind that this is a bug out with families, so this is a situation where leaving them behind was certain death. They were guaranteed they were going to die. So the call was made to bring them with. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.